Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Stephanie and I'm a physical therapist. And today I want to talk to you about some of my favorite hip flexor strengthening exercises. We're going to go through 7 of the exercises that you can do. We're going to use a band and a box or a chair. And these are exercises that you can do daily or every other day to really build up that hip flexor strength. The hip flexors are the muscles that start at the spine and cross the hip joint in the front and attach to the femur. They do this motion where you bring your knee up to your chest. And that's an important motion because we basically use our hip flexors all day long. Every time you take a step forward, you're using your hip flexor. When you walk up the stairs, you're using your hip flexor. When you go for a run, basically when you do almost anything, when you get in and out of a car, you're using your hip flexors. So it's important that we have really strong hip flexors. And a lot of times we do a lot of sitting. So if you're sitting, these hip flexors are in a shortened position and they can get tight. They can also get weak because we're just not using them through their full range of motion or using them like we should. So sometimes people complain of these muscles feeling really tight because they're doing so much sitting or just so much forward movement and not a lot of the other movement, going backwards or just standing up straight, doing some extension. But we're also just not using our hip flexors enough. We're not strengthening them. So if you feel like they're tight, but you've done a lot of stretching, you've done a lot of foam rolling, and it's just not helping, you may need to start trying some strengthening exercises. So that's what we're going to go through today. So like I said, you just need a band, and I just use one loop band like this. You can also do the exercises without the band if you don't have a band, or if you're just starting out and you want to start them without the band and then progress to the band. You also need a box or a chair. So you don't need this box. You can just use a chair or a couch, just something elevated. And those are the only 2 things you need for these. And so I'm going to go through them and just show you how you can do them, how many times you should do them, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're going to start sitting on this box. Place a band around your feet, just like that. And then for this first one, you're going to put your hands on the box or the chair and kind of lift yourself off. You want your body to be in a straight line here. And you're going to just lift one knee up towards your chest and then lift the other knee. So just alternate back and forth. So this is getting a good hip flexor activation because you're bringing your knee towards your chest. You're also having to pull against the band. But if you don't have a band or you want to start without the band, you can definitely do that too. So do 2 to 3 sets of 10 of those exercises. And then we're going to sit on the box. And this one is a little bit easier. So you're just going to lift your knee up towards your chest like that, just pulling against the band. 2 to 3 sets of 10. Again, you can start without the band. You can also, I like this progression of putting a dumbbell on each leg and then just lifting up the dumbbell. So you can hold them there and lift. Okay, so we're going to take the band off for the next one. And this next one, you're going to put your one foot on top of the box or the chair, and you can hold on if you need to, or you can just work on your balance here. So what you're going to do is just lift your foot off and hold for 5 to 10 seconds, and then bring it back down. So if it's pretty hard if you start from a kind of a higher box like this. So if you want to start on a little bit lower of a step or a chair, whatever you have, you can do that and just lift and hold 5 to 10 seconds. I would probably do that 10 or 15 times, just depending on how it feels. Now, if you get to number 10, you're like, oh, I just can't lift it anymore, you're probably at your limit, and then you need to work up to more reps. You can also do that just standing if you want to just lift and hold for 5 to 10 seconds. This just kind of gives you a target of, what you want to lift off of, and try not to lower your foot back down, because here you can lift up and your foot can get lower and lower before it hits the ground. But hold each of those 5 to 10 seconds, repeat 10 or 15 times. Okay, so we can get rid of the box now. And for the next one, we're going to put this band, we're going to sit down actually for this one, place this band around our feet, and then get into a plank position. So you're just going to come up onto your toes, hold your hands out like this. And this is a more challenging one. So you can also start on your elbows here, or you can start on your knees here. And I'll show you both of those, but let me start here. So you're going to go in a plank position, and you're going to just bring a knee towards your chest, like that. You want to try to keep your back as flat as you can. Doing this, you kind of tend to put your hips up like this, but try to keep your back flat, your hips even. You're just going to pull the band up towards your chest. I like to do either 2 to 3 sets of 10, or you can do that for about 30 seconds and repeat that 2 or 3 times. So if that's too tough, or you can't go on if you can't go on your hands, you can definitely do it on your elbows as well. Same thing. It's just a little bit harder because your knees are closer to the ground. But you can also do it on your knees here. Put the band back up a little bit. So you can also do it kind of at an angle on your knees and just bring your knee up to your chest like this. It's a little bit easier, but if you need to do that before you work up into the full plank, you can definitely do that. Okay, now we're going to do kind of a harder one. And this one I'm going to put the band around my ankles. So we're going to do a side plank. So you're going to come up into a side plank, and you're going to actually, you can put it around your ankles or your feet. Sometimes it doesn't stay on this one. But you're going to go into a side plank, and from the side plank, you're going to bring your knee up towards your chest, like that. That one's a harder one too. You want to try to stay in an even position, but you can also, if you need to, keep the bottom knee down and the top leg straight. Now this one you may have to put around your ankle or however you can. So bottom knee a little bit bent, and then from there, bring your knee up, like that. That one gets a little trickier with the band. You can also just try it without the band. Okay, the last one we're gonna do is place the band around our feet and stand up. And from here, you're just going to march. So just knee up to your chest as high as you can, pull against the band, 2 to 3 sets of 10. If you want to make this harder, you can hold a dumbbell right here to your chin, or you can hold it up overhead. You can also do kind of a variation of this where you lift up and rotate your leg out and then back to the middle. So that one's a little bit harder, but also a good way to really work those hip flexors. Works those hip rotator muscles too when you do that. Okay, so those are a great set of exercises you can do to really work on those hip flexors. You should feel, if you're having any pain or discomfort in that area, working on these for several weeks should help. You should also really get rid of that tightness feeling if you're having that tightness, especially if you've tried a lot of stretching and it just hasn't helped. So try all of those, and hopefully that helps your hip flexors.